Well, good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for coming. I know it's going to be an informative work session and council meeting. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Manager to start, and then I can kick to me for the ledge priorities.
Just put a mint in my mouth. I'm sorry for the delay. Good afternoon, everyone, members of City Council. The very first item on our agenda this afternoon is a discussion of the 2024 state legislative priorities. This is a follow-up discussion to allow for any additional conversation among council members about the proposed legislative program before adoption of the program by resolution, which is on your evening agenda for this evening.
And I'll kick it off. I know there was a lot of discussion over the last 2 weeks about certain things that we are going to amend with the charter. I think talking to everyone, the best decision is just to establish that charter review commission, and then they can sort of recommend things. So we went ahead and scrapped all three of the charter changes until post that commission meets. But I wanted to know if there was any questions, comments, anything else we want to talk about that ledge priority. Okay. For Mabel, I don't think we need to rush on starting the commission. I know we're voting on the disability commission here pretty soon. So why don't we do it post New Year? If we could get that into the work, just to get everyone some time. No need to rush it, but I think we'll start that process. We're good.
All right. Thank you. Our second item for discussion this afternoon is a presentation from the Newport News Arts Commission about their fiscal year 2024 grant recommendations. And so we have with us this afternoon Joanne Palmeria, who's the Superintendent of Cultural Arts, Parks, Recreation, and Tourism. And we also have present with us Roger Hamilton, and Roger is the Chair of the Newport News Arts Commission.
Before we get started, I want to say thank you to the Vice Mayor for shepherding this process and going through it and recommending to Council. We all really appreciate it.
And this is an item for Council's consideration and adoption this evening on your regular evening City Council agenda.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor, Honorable Council. I'm going to give you a brief overview of the Newport News Arts Commission and how it came to fruition, and then we will take a look at the recommendations for FY 2024. And so the Newport News Arts Commission supports the City Council in its efforts to maintain and improve the performing and fine arts within the city. The Commission brings attention to the continuing needs as well as the services of the various activities in the city. Regularly reviews programs and facilities for the performing arts to assure artistic growth and quality, and submits appropriate funding recommendations to City Council. The Commission can also seek additional sources of funding as well. So activities are currently funded through the city's Community Support Agency grant and a Creative Communities Partnership grant through the Virginia Arts Commission. Little history of the Commission. It was established in 1980 and first established for the purposes we've reviewed with a 7-member commission. In 1995, it was agreed that an additional 2 members would be included for a total of 9. And in 2001, there was the addition of a member that would represent Newport News Superintendent of Public Schools. And today that is the Supervisor for Visual and Performing Arts. And then in 2004, to ensure that we had the voice of the youth, 2 youth members were appointed as well. So that takes us to a total of 12 members on the commission. So our general guidelines for funding requests are that organizations must be nonprofit and designated as nonprofit by the IRS and have been in existence for at least 1 year. And these organizations must directly produce, present, or support one of these genres of arts. So it's dance, literary arts, musical arts, media arts, theater, visual, and so forth. Now, these organizations don't necessarily have to be homed within Newport News, but they need to clearly serve Newport News citizens. Our funding guidelines, we do have 2 areas of support. So we have the general operating support, and those organizations, 3 years or less, may request up to a maximum of 10% of their operating budget. Those organizations that have been established for a much longer period are able to request a maximum of 25% of their overall operating budget. The second source of funding are special project grants. And these are not to exceed 50% of the specific project or program grant. And what I do want to point out is that organizations are able to submit for both sources of funding. So they can submit for both a general operating and a special project grant. Note at the bottom, the minimum award for each of these, if the organizations are to be awarded for either, the minimum amount would be $500. So the criteria that the arts commissioners use to evaluate these requests include the quality of the program or the project, the location, so are the projects within Newport News? Those that are within the city limits do receive higher priority, but again, as long as they are serving the citizens of Newport News, they are eligible. They review the managerial and fiscal competence of the organization, the overall impact, the availability of comparable programs and services within Newport News and the surrounding area, and the extent of available other public and private support for those organizations. Yes.
For the managerial and fiscal competence, are you looking for them to have bylaws in place, or what are some of the?
Correct. So they do submit their bylaws. They do also submit a annual financial audit as well as their full operating budget. For the special program grant requests, they do also submit a separate project budget along with their operating. As far as the timeline for those grant funding requests, the commission a few years ago began doing public forums in November, so basically a Q&A session so that those interested in gaining more information about what the opportunities are and what the process is, they're able to come out and meet with the commissioners and receive that information. Generally speaking, we'll do that in November. Applications become available in March, and those are published to the city website. They are also distributed to those organizations that have previously submitted. We do advertise that through a press release, in the NN Now, email blast, as well as social media. In May, applications are due the first week. And in July, the commissioners come together to deliberate and discuss those funding requests. With that said, when we do have new organizations that have requested funding, we will ask them to come in and present, and they will present a quick synopsis of their programs and activities to the commissioners. So from there, the commissioners will forward their recommendations to City Council. Typically, those recommendations are submitted for the September meeting. And then in October, awards are made and checks are issued to the grantees. In January, the organizations that receive funding do need to submit a mid-year report. It's just a check-in for us to see how they are doing. And then in June, they will submit a final report because all projects need to be wrapped by the end of the fiscal year by June 30th. And if they do not use the funding, they are required to resubmit and send those funds back to the city by the end of the fiscal year.
And
Mhm.
so when you issue the checks, do they usually just get the one lump sum check?
Yes, correct. Okay, so the funding recommendations that have been put forth by the commissioners for FY 2024, we have 25 unique agencies this year that have applied for funding. 12 of those are requesting general operating support for a total of $60,650. 9 agencies are recommended to receive specific project support totaling $45,229. And 4 agencies are recommended to receive both. So as I stated, they are eligible for both the general operating and project support, and those requests total $53,500. So you will see that total recommendation is $159,379. And that total comes from that Community Support Agency grant and the grant from the Virginia Commission for the Arts. So following is a list of the agencies that are recommended for funding this year. And we are excited. We have a few new agencies. So you'll see the Big Pink Music is new for FY 2024. And 2 other new organizations on the list, the Can Foundation, as well as Shark City Drum. And that is all I have. Did anyone have any questions?
I'll turn it over to the vice.
So, well, quick question. Have all the organizations been notified that they will receive the funding?
No, we do
What's the
not.
process
We
for
do
that
not
now?
do that until they are approved by council.
Okay.
So I noticed that some requested amounts and they were less than the amounts they requested. Was there a formula behind what they asked for versus what they received? Because some did receive the full amount, some didn't. So it kind of helped me out with that.
Most do not receive the full amount they request. Most are requesting a much higher number, and that is simply we are working with a relatively small number compared to the requests that do come in. And so what the commissioners will look at is the 5-year previously, up to 5 years previously, what have we done in the past? You know, what is their impact? How many people are they truly serving? What other sources of funding are they receiving from other arts commissions, other city funding, and so forth? And I can tell you that, you know, the commissioners are eager to assist those new organizations, the smaller organizations, the grassroots that are really, you know, looking to make an impact that may not have the large numbers, but are doing really great work and starting out and really need the assistance.
Okay, so we were pretty much helping get the new organizations off the feet to grow their base of supporters, while the ones that have been out there for a while, we're still supplementing or helping them with their funding source, but we're relying on them to actually pull in more outside support.
Correct.
Donors. Okay.
Correct.
But I think it's, I know your commission, you all have, the rules, but I think in particular think of places that are really in our city that are gaining so much momentum or just bringing the quality of life for our citizens to a higher level, particularly, you know, who can not notice what's going on with Fort Worth Foundation and how they are impacting our Central District area with so many number of people for their summer concerts on Wednesdays, and the fact that there are all types of people there, and it really shows a great effort on our city to be able to provide entertainment for a wide array of people and different genres. That's what I really love about this. So I hope that is also taken into consideration as that is growing and providing such an enormous impact in our city.
Absolutely. And our commission is a diverse group of citizens. So, there is someone from every walk of life, every background, every knowledge base. So it's a great representation of the city across the board.
The last comment I'll make is, one, thank you to the commission. Thank you for putting this together for us. Mr. Manager, thank you as well for answering all the inquiries. But I think the opportunity that I see going forward is how can we tie these awards to our strategic vision. So I know the guidelines, were set years ago, but I think we have a major opportunity to imagine what that could be, as long as it ties into our strategic plan and strategic vision. All the awards that we give, I think that's where the next phase of this is. But again, thank you so much for this, and look forward to seeing the fund come.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Council, is there any more questions? Thank you.
Thank you, John. Our next item for council's consideration and discussion this afternoon is a smart meter project update. And so I think a number of you have been able to hear our progress reports about our smart meter infrastructure that Waterworks has been championing across the peninsula. They want to take this opportunity to provide you with a brief summary of where we are with smart meter installation. They will also have a corresponding item on your evening agenda for you to appropriate funds for this project. So we wanted to be sure that you had this background information before you prior to the evening agenda. So we have Jan, which I think most of you know, Ugulik. Sorry, Jan. Put me on the point today. Who is the Director of Waterworks, and I know many of you have interfaced with Jan on previous occasions. So, Jan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Alan. Actually, most people know me just by Jan, just because of the last name. So, I'm the Frenchman in the city of Newport News. Well, so it's been actually a little bit before the pandemic when we started the smart meter project, just a couple months before, and then the pandemic hit. Regardless of that, we were actually pretty well on schedule. First, we started with a IDA, which was an an initial deployment area of about 1,000 meters. And when that was successful, a year later, in March of 2021, we started the full deployment. So here we are, almost 3 years later, and I wanted to give a project update on smart meters. So, a little bit of background. What is smart metering, at least as it concerns for water utilities? Well, we were anyway going to upgrade and replace our legacy meters, but instead of remaining with the same type of meters, we decided to go to the smart meter level. And smart meters, what they do is they send water usage wirelessly to Waterworks. So you can see here, you have the meter, then you have the schematic of a water tower, of a network tower, and then it goes down to Waterworks. So the data is being sent directly. It allows us to detect leaks faster, speed the water turns on and turn offs, and then share also consumption data directly to customers. So the project drivers were that smart metering, we wanted to enhance customer service, and we wanted to modernize the Waterworks business process. So on the customer service side, it was having detailed data to identify large usage and initiate contact before the bill is sent. Often, when it was on a monthly billing, you would have someone not realizing that at the end of the 30 days, they would have a large bill because of a leak that went undetected. Now, we can have and set up alerts that actually tell us and warn the customer, maybe you have a toilet leak. Second thing was the remote control of a service valve. So typically we have to send, prior to this service, send truck to the different areas to turn on and turn off valves for whatever reasons. But now we can do this remotely from the Waterworks in a cyber-secure way. And then the ability for customers, we were mentioning that before, but to analyze the consumption online. Maybe not all customers interested, but we know that there are some that are asking to see what is the pattern. Often it's because they may have, teenagers and realize that the shower is being used a little too long, and they want to demonstrate that this is a lot of water being used. And then on modernizing the business process side, it's the ability to do the stop and start reads when we do move-ins, move-outs. As many of you know, we have a population that's doing a lot of rentals because of the military bases, and so it's often difficult to send all the trucks in time to make sure that we have the right reads and the right stops so that we can transfer over the account. Now we can do this directly and wirelessly. Then in the past, we were depending on meter readers who were walking, checking the meters and then actually putting manually what was the read. So with this, we allow an on-time billing and the removal of possible errors from manually keying meter reads. And then lastly, is the reduced greenhouse effect because we're sending less trucks around. So less greenhouse, less fleet costs associated with it, and so for sending in to produce turn-ons and turn-offs. This is on the one side of it. What we want to do is an automated process. So the automated process for move-ins, move-outs, the alert-based service orders, or the reconnection after past dues, all these are going to be actually online by the end of 2023. So we are actually finishing the touches at the end of this month, and then we're having a verification process in December. And then the customers would be using our portal, which is already up, or our water app, and that allows for during 24/7 to have the monitoring of that water usage, scheduling services, the service transfers, the move-ins, move-outs, signing up those alerts, and then paying online and reporting issues such as outages. So this was actually one of the largest projects in terms of dollars for waterworks. If you look at the bottom of the first table, the budget, this column in the middle, shows that the total was $56.5 million. I'm pleased to say that we've spent about 95% of it, and we're essentially 90% done. The reason there's a little discrepancy there, you can see the $47 million for the meter network that's spent versus the $48 million, is because we always have to buy those meters in advance. So we have actually purchased them. So we're already at the completion of the project. And so on the second table is explaining how it was funded. So we started in fiscal 2020 in December 10, 2019 with $5 million from a previous bond. So on the left side here, you have the different bond issues. We had one that was already existing, the 2017 bond issue. And then we had, in the second row, the 2021 bond issue. And then we show here how much of which was used from those bonds. So $5 million in fiscal 2020, that helped us kickstart the project and do that initial deployment area we were talking about in the beginning that verified that this was basically a pilot project, a demonstration project that confirmed that we should go ahead. And in fiscal 2021, especially as the full deployment came in, this is where we spend most of the money. Not only we finished the 2017 bond issue, but we took $25 million out of the 2021 Waterworks bond issue for a total of $34 million. And now we are asking for the remaining $17.5 million to meet the budget, the $56.5 million, so we can complete the project. So the project is going to be completed essentially in January, February. We still have a few things to do. And I just wanted to say that if it ever comes up from your constituents, and the customers, there was no, customers were not charged for any of this upgrade, and their water service remained unchanged from the meter exchange. So this is a map of our service area. As you know, we're serving Newport News, but also Hampton, York County, Poquoson, and then parts of James City County. So we've done about 122,000 meters. That's out of about 133,000 meters, so roughly about 90%, or over 90%. And out of those 122,000 meters, 50,000 are in Newport News, 44,000 in Hampton, 20,000 in York County, 5,000 in Poquoson, and about 3,000 in James City County. So the remaining 11,000 or so meters are actually going to be equally split, about 5,000, 6,000 in Newport News and Hampton. essentially York County, Bucos and James City County are almost done. Any questions?
Yes. Since these smart meters have been installed, how much savings have we been able to recoup in capturing or detecting leaks before they get out of hand after that 30-day period?
So at this point, because the automated process is not fully in, and it was an ongoing project, we are waiting until actually the entire service area has the smart meters. So this is exactly what we would be measuring starting in January.
Okay, thanks.
Do we have any further questions? Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I just want to, extend my appreciation to you and your staff. This has been a significant undertaking and one that positions the waterworks quite well for your future operations, and we appreciate all your hard work. Yeah. All right, I don't think that Pat is visiting with us, so the next item. Okay, Lisa, you want to? Sure. So the next item on our agenda this afternoon is a video that was produced by Hampton Roads Transit. It highlights a Newport News rider, and in the video he talks about why he has chosen to use public transportation, and makes a great case and argument about the viability of public transit. So Pat, in her role with Hampton Roads Transit, wanted to highlight this video for you all this afternoon. It's quite short, but I think you'll find it to be quite interesting. So since Pat is not with us, Lisa serves as staff.
I will channel the inner Dr. Woodbury for a second. Dr. Woodbury is the chair of the Hampton Roads Transit Commission, and so this has been a very popular topic over the last several months. In 2019, prior to the pandemic, ridership was growing, which was very exciting. Pandemic hit, ridership dropped to like 30%, and it's been recovering ever since. HRT staff has been spending many months at bus stops asking riders, why do you ride the bus? Ridership is recovering. The 15-minute service is expanding through the peninsula and beginning this past Sunday, some routes on the south side. Part of the discussion that HRT staff has experienced is that 62% of the riders ride to and from work every single day. Using that as a base of their information, they started creating these promotional information bits to show that there is a good reason to ride. It's cost effective, it's efficient, and it's certainly green. There are many employers, Shipyard being one, Centerra over in Norfolk being another, that are parking challenged, and they offer something that HRT has, which is called a Go 365 pass from the employer to the employee to encourage ridership. So this is part of the 365 Go Pass promotion and just to grow ridership. And remember, it's a deal. It's $2 just to ride one way. So that's a great cost-effective mode of transportation. So this is one of the videos.
I've been using public transportation for about 2 years, since I started working in Newport News Shipbuilding. I ride for a couple different reasons, 3 that stand out more than the others. The first one is environmental. I think the environmental impact of riding a bus or a bike like I often do is much less than driving alone in your 2-ton vehicle. So that's number one. I think that we all have a duty to protect the environment. The second reason that I ride is economic. I get a bus pass through work, and so riding the bus saves me money that I would otherwise spend on gas. And the third reason is my own health. So when you're riding the bus, you have to walk or bike to the bus stop, and that gives you an opportunity to be active every single day. Being healthy also helps your wallet, so it kind of combines with the economic reason. My name's Ben, and that's why I ride.
Well said, Ben. Thank you. I think just because Dr. Woodbury's not here, we'll maybe she'll come in at the end and she can speak to the video and to her efforts. But I'll turn it over. Next, we have comments, ideas, suggestions. I'm gonna turn it over to Alan first. I know he's got a few things to go over, and then we'll wrap it this way. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I have three particular comments to share with you this afternoon. One is that I'd like to take a moment to introduce two special guests that we have with us here today. Jennifer Privet, who is our Environmental Sustainability Coordinator for the City of Newport News, and Shay McDonald, who is a sophomore at Christopher Newport University. So, yeah, please stand up. Yeah. So in 2020, Christopher Newport University created the Ferguson Fellowship for Community Engagement. The purpose of the program is to engage local community partners with students and faculty working together to analyze and solve community issues through experimental learning. Shay McDonald is a sophomore at CNU in the Environmental Studies program and minoring in Leadership Studies. She serves as a leader. She serves in a leadership role with the Student Sustainability Commission, and Shay's serving as this year's Ferguson Fellow for the Department of Engineering here of the City of Newport News, working with Sustainability Manager to research federal funding opportunities that support the city's comprehensive, strategic, and sustainability plans for environmental sustainability goals. Mr. Mayor?
I think it's my turn to bring it home. So Jennifer made me aware of this Ferguson Fellowship Project and all of its funding opportunities with federal, state, and other sources to advance our sustainability future for the City of Newport News. What I've been told, they told me 20 minutes ago, Shay, but your research is really at the intersection of our environmental stewardship and financial empowerment area. So we appreciate all of your work. Jennifer, Shay, and Dr. Palmer, I know is running a little bit late. Thank you all for your efforts and for joining us here today. We appreciate you.
My second comment this afternoon is to announce that over the past several months, Cleator Jones, who is our Director of Communications, has been working to fill key positions in the Communications Department. I'd like to announce the recent hire of Desiree McDaniel as the Manager of Tourism. She comes to us from Denver, Colorado, with extensive background in hospitality and the tourism industry. Desiree is not here today, as she and her husband Marlon just welcomed an addition to their family. And we certainly want to congratulate Desiree and Marlon on beginning a new chapter in their life with a very young person that I'm sure they will find engaging and challenging and all those wonderful things at the same time. We do have with us today Kimberly Bracey, who joined the communications team on yesterday as the city's PIO and Manager of Communications and Media Relations. Kim has an extensive background, and she's standing in the back of the room, has an extensive background in strategic communications and media relations in both the private sector and public sector in North Carolina and Virginia, most recently coming to us from the New Horizons Regional Education Center. Thank you so much and welcome.
Welcome.
And finally, with the help of some important person in the room, many of you recall that we have talked in the past about our new logo and our branding initiative and the fact that we would be installing new gateway signage in the community. And so this afternoon, I'd like to kind of give you a little bit of a brief update on where we stand with the fabrication and the installation of those signs. So as a part of the banding process, the city worked with a vendor to fabricate the new gateway signs. These signs will draw attention and will be illuminated, so our vibrant new brand will be visible both day and night. Showing on the screen is a photo of the Greenway sign that is currently installed on Denby Boulevard near the York County line. The second sign installation is on track for this Thursday, located on Oyster Point Road between the I-64 off-ramp and Cannon Boulevard. And the third key location will be installed on Mercury Boulevard near the James River Bridge.
It looks good. I drive past it every morning now.
It reinforces the vigor and your commitment to the city, right?
There you go.
Your role as a public servant.
Thanks, Alan. Thanks to all to staff who was involved in the branding process and making sure that we all switch over from the old brand to the new brand. Thank you.
Thank you.
Collie. Mabel.
Yes, IT has informed me that we have a new password. We have to do 14 characters now, and they'll send me information tomorrow, and I'll forward it to you guys. 14 characters long.
I know, that's a lot. Your name can't be a part of it. It's got to be a lowercase letter, uppercase letter, a number, and a symbol. So hopefully that'll be included. 14 characters, pretty long.
Why, how did that come about? Does anybody know? 14?
Yeah, I can speak to it. That's the practice recommended at the CISA and NSA. I think is a part of that in terms of the cybersecurity aspect. But those are the general good practice guidelines that we're adopting. I think previously we had, I'm trying to remember the number of characters, but we're upping to incorporate that because we continue to have, as many entities, we continue to have those threats, and this is just one more factor that's been recommended as part of those good operating guidelines to increase it to a 14 character. It's a long phrase, I know. That's what it ends up being.
Anything else?
All right.
Vice Mayor?
Nothing.
Councilman Long?
I want to say I appreciate you sharing this public-private partnership. The only comment I have is I've been looking at our schools CIP, first our CIP, the fiscal year 24-28, roughly 128 million more than what we're able to offer them, and they've laid out the costs of various schools, and the costs is continue to escalate. I read an article about Prince George County in Maryland that is using a public-private partnership to rebuild some of their schools. Could staff look into, what those terms of that public-private partnership, see if that's something we can use here? I mean, we're at this point now, I think we just have to look at all the different options that may be available for us. Because as we keep on, as maintenance is continuing to be deferred, it gets costly and more costly. So I'm just trying to look at all different options that we have available for some of the school construction, especially after, I think, this past week there was an article in the Daily Press about the crumbling schools across Hampton Road. So I think we just need to look at all the different options that are available out there for us.
Absolutely. If you would share when you get a chance the article.
Okay.
In Prince George's County, Maryland, I'd appreciate looking into it more.
We'll do that.
Thank you.
Councilman Long, can I add something to that? Because that's such a great point. And I brought that up a few years ago with the other management, that because we have so many companies that love our city and want to help, I would think that if we work towards that we would get some type of support, from financial support, to help us in such a huge effort. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, and I'll send that information on. That's all I have.
Councilman Ely? Councilman Vick?
I don't have anything.
Dr. Woodbury? I will say we watched the video, the ride, so we appreciate you with that. Councilman Harris? Okay, I just have just 3 quick items. So number 1, for the legislative policy, once again, everyone's agreed that we're going to start that post-January, so we're going to just put that into the minutes. The second thing, I know most of us signed it, but can we ensure that everyone has signed the council aid policy, like the written copy that Kali provided, just so we could have it in the file? That would be helpful. The third part is I finished up I think the 5th revision of the council handbook. It's almost ready for council to look at as a body and to approve. It's almost done. We have a few more word revisions, but hopefully between the holidays, everyone can have that handbook and we can vote on it in January would be the goal. And the last thing is, I know we have a busy travel week. I know council's going to NLC, and I know the vice mayor sent out the email with Alan, with all the events to go to, and I'm sure it's going to be a great time. And then I'll be with our federal lobbyists for the next 2 days, just trying to ensure Jefferson Laboratory full funding and some other things as well. But council's split up this week, but just have safe travels, everyone, and enjoy your time down there. And that is all I have. I think we're going to go into closed session right now. Councilman Long, you take us into closed session, please.
I'm the.
It's on you.
Yeah, I did it too many times. All right, I've gotten good at it. I move that pursuant to Section 2.2-3711A of the Code of Virginia 1950 as amended, subsection 5 and 7, that the council hold a closed meeting for the purpose of 5, a discussion of prospective business or industry where no previous announcement has been made of the business or industry interest in locating a facility in the community. subject which is a prospective expansion of business in the southern section of the city. And 7, a consultation with legal counsel pertaining to actual and probable litigation which such consultation in open meeting will adversely affect the negotiating posture of the public body, subject which are actual and potential cases involving tort claims.
It's been moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Vick. 4. Councilwoman Woodbury. 4. Vice Mayor Bethany.
4.
Councilman Ely. 4. Councilman Harris. 4. Mayor Jones.
4.
Councilman Long.
4.
Motion carried 7-0.
Thank you, everyone. Moved and seconded. Please call the roll.
Councilwoman Vick. Councilwoman Woodbury. Vice Mayor Bethany. Councilman Ely. Councilman Harris. Mayor Jones.
4.
Councilman Long. Motion carried 7-0.
I think that's all we have. We stand adjourned. Thank you.